up though? Let's go.
Last year, I was invited to a wedding in Oregon. I wasn't from there, and I decided when I went there I could stay a few extra days and make it into a little vacation. I was interested in exploring the area nearby, and I was able to find a really good deal on an Airbnb only 15 minutes away from the wedding venue. The wedding was on Saturday, and I arrived at the Airbnb on Thursday afternoon. It was a smaller looking house in a nice little neighborhood, and I had the whole thing to myself. The first day, I went to a nearby city and met up with another friend I knew who was in town for the wedding as well. I returned to the house that night sort of late and tired from the long day. I got into bed, turned on the TV, and fell asleep within probably 15 minutes. I woke up the next morning without an alarm, which felt great, and I got up and made some coffee. When I was drinking it, I took a step out into the front yard because it looked like a really nice day outside. After I did, I was on the front step, and I know...
Hey yo, do y'all ever do this? Do y'all ever like wake up in the morning? I've seen this on shows and movies and stuff. Do y'all ever wake up in the morning, get some coffee or some tea or some sort of drink, go outside to your front porch, and just be like, just holding your tea, come out. Oh my God, I gotta poop. Bad.
There seemed to be some sort of note taped to the front door. I picked it up and read it, not sure of what it could be. The note said, quote, "I broke into your house last night. You should fix your locks." And then they had written a little winking face on it. I freaked out when I read this and immediately went back inside the house and started looking around. I was sure the front door had been locked, because I remembered unlocking it to go outside.
Why would you go back in the house? I would not go back in the house. Cluck that.
A few minutes ago. There was only one other entrance to the house, which was the back door. I ran over to it and checked, but that too seemed to be locked. I then started searching up and down the entire house, and like I said, it wasn't a very big house, so it didn't take me too long to look everywhere. After searching all the rooms, closets, and even cabinets, I didn't see anyone or a trace of anyone either. I was creeped out, but after time, thought maybe it was some kind of prank by somebody who lived on the street. I knew that this house was rented by people a lot. There was no way to know for sure though. I've always been a really deep sleeper, plus the house didn't have a whole lot of furniture in it, so if somebody had been here, I probably wouldn't have known. I left the house shortly after that to go do more stuff in the nearby city and also see some local parks. I took all my valuable stuff with me just in case, and I also contacted the Airbnb owner about the note I received. I was hoping they would reply to me before I got back home, reassuring me that the locks were fine and it was probably just a prank. After another long day of trying local restaurants, visiting local parks, and other cool buildings, I once again returned to the house that night. When I looked, the Airbnb owner never replied to me, and I was a little bit scared to go to bed, but I was tired.
Nah, it was an inside job. Hold on.
And was able to convince myself it was probably just a joke, seeing as though everything in the house seemed fine, and just as it was when I left it.
Or maybe, did you ever consider that they're a pro at this and they know exactly what they're doing? Fuck.
Wedding was the next day, so I once again watched some TV and then drifted off to sleep at about 11:30. The next morning, I woke up without an alarm again, but this time I looked at the clock and saw that it was just after 6 a.m. I didn't need to wake up until 9 and was about to turn over and go back to bed, but just started feeling a little bit paranoid. I decided to get up and walk around the house to make sure everything was okay. As I left the bedroom and walked down the hall, I immediately noticed that the back door of the house was wide open.
Wow.
When I saw this, I wanted to get out of there immediately. I knew the back door had been closed and locked before I went to bed. I ran into the bedroom, packed up everything I had in probably less than 5 minutes, and went to leave the house. As I was about to walk out the front door, I started to hear the closet door in the living room begin to open. I never turned around to look, and instead sprinted out of there to my car. I didn't see anybody exit the house, but I drove away and then contacted the owner of the house again, telling him what had happened. Then I contacted Airbnb customer support. For the rest of the trip, I stayed in a hotel.
Jesus. I feel like that was an inside job. Because ain't no way.
This story happened just last month.
Nice ass
My
house.
wife and I were planning to take a little vacation just for the weekend.
That's a cabin in the woods. Hell no. Look how tall them trees are. Jesus.
We found an Airbnb up in a really nice area with a lot of great land. The place was way up north, about 4 hours away. It was a house, sort of like a cabin, and was up on a hill with a really nice deck overlooking the massive amount of land nearby. The area was mostly woods, hills, and just land. We also really liked it because of how secluded it was from the rest of the houses. There weren't really any other buildings or houses in sight. In fact, most areas over there were just vacation homes or cabins. We drove up there early Friday morning and arrived to the property at about 10 a.m. When we got there, we had a great time just relaxing and enjoying the area. It didn't take long though before our trip took a turn for the worst. That night, as we were just sitting in the living room of the house watching a movie, all of a sudden we heard a knocking sound. I couldn't tell where it was coming from at first, but after pausing the movie and getting up, I could tell it was coming from one of the windows. I walked down a hallway to where the noise was coming from. As I got closer, I was able to locate the window, and then the knocking stopped. I reached the window where it was coming from, but I didn't see anything when I looked outside of it. However, I didn't have a good feeling about it, because the house was so secluded, and most parts of it were surrounded by trees and bushes. I knew anybody being around here at all would be suspicious. As I walked back to the living room, my wife asked me if I saw what was causing the knocking. Just as I was telling her about it, we then heard a loud pounding coming from the front door. It sounded as though somebody was trying to break the entire door down. I walked back over to the kitchen area to try and look out the window and see. But once again, when I got at an angle to actually see who was at the front door, the noise...
Oh, God. Ah, my bowels. Oh, God, my bowels. Ooh. Ah. Give me, I might have to cut this video short after it's done. I should have just went to the bathroom. Jesus.
had stopped, and whoever was there was now gone.
They're not gone.
After this, we didn't hear any more noises for a while. Maybe whoever it was had now left. But about 30 minutes later, we heard the sound outside, just barely, of a man yelling.
See?
I couldn't tell what he was saying. In fact, I'm not sure if he was saying anything at all. We knew somebody was trying to mess with us, or get inside the house for some reason. We would hear noises or bangs against the house, but whenever we looked out the window, whoever was there somehow disappeared. This happened a couple of more times, and my wife and I were getting concerned. We didn't really feel comfortable going to bed with all this going on. It was getting late though, and I decided if we were in fact going to sleep there, I would go outside and take a look around. I went out the front door and took a walk all around the house.
Wow.
I saw nothing strange and didn't hear anything either. I hoped that meant whoever was there was now gone, and I went back inside. We decided we would go to bed, but if anything else happened at all, we would call the police immediately. Once we had both got to bed and turned out all the lights, almost right away, there was a sudden sound of glass breaking coming from the opposite end of the house.
Oh my God.
My wife grabbed her phone and started calling the police. I shut the door and locked it, and then started packing up all of our stuff.
I mean, but you're right next to some dense ass, tall ass woods. What the hell do you expect?
There was no chance I was going to continue to stay here with all this going on. We didn't really hear any noises though as we waited for the police to arrive. It took them a while to reach the house with it being way out there, probably like 20 minutes.
Wow.
Thankfully, nobody tried to enter the bedroom we were in during that time. When the police arrived, my wife and I left the room with our bags packed. The police showed us a window in the living room of the house which had been broken, and there was some glass on the ground around it. But after searching the house, they didn't find anybody inside. I didn't feel safe though. After the police left, my wife and I did the same, and we checked into a hotel.
I'm about to check into that bathroom I got.
A couple of years ago, I traveled to a city for a prospective job.
Nice ass house.
I had a potential job offer and was going to stay a total of 2 days to look at the area in case I were to move there. I didn't really spend a whole lot of time looking for where to stay. I kind of just went onto the Airbnb app, found a place that looked good, and then went for it. I do remember though that the owner seemed like a really nice guy. When I arrived,
They all seem like a really nice guy, really nice person, male or female. They all seem like that, but behind closed doors, that's where the real person comes out. Come on now. Oh my God, oh. Oh, this bathroom about to feel real nice. You all, I know this is disgusting. And if you're eating something right now, I suggest you pause that. But you ever have to poop so bad that as soon as I'm talking the second you sit on the toilet, it's just, I feel like that's me. Oh my God.
place itself was decent. It was a little place right by the city. I got the keys and got inside to drop off my stuff. After that, I went out for a few hours and then returned that night. I went to bed that night pretty early. I've always been kind of an early bird and I'm used to it. However, I woke up in seemingly the middle of the night, which is unusual. When I woke up, I looked around confused after seeing it was still dark outside and clearly nighttime. I looked at the clock to see that it was 2:30 a.m. and I remembered, just as I was looking at the clock, I heard the sound of the front door to the house being opened.
Wow!
The house had been completely silent, and hearing that was a scary moment. I knew nobody else was supposed to be in the house. I'm not really sure what I was thinking. Maybe it was because I had just woken up and wasn't thinking clearly. But I grabbed the blankets and covered myself with them like a little kid. I then heard footsteps starting to come closer to the bedroom that I was in. My heart started to race like crazy, and I was terrified. I sort of came to my senses and knew that hiding under the covers was a bad idea. What could I do? I had no time to prepare for this. As the footsteps got closer, it was clear to me that they would likely come in the bed.
You can yeet yourself out that window and never could look back. It's probably an inside job. Jesus.
The only thing I thought to do was pretend to still be asleep. Maybe, just maybe, if somebody was going to rob the house or something like that, if they saw that I was fast asleep, they would just ignore me. I also felt this was my only option, because I had no time to run to the closet and hide, or grab something to use as a weapon. I didn't even have time to dial 911, as my phone was charging on the desk, not within my reach. Once whoever was there reached the door, I heard it open, and I closed my eyes and pretended to be sound asleep. I heard whoever was there take 2 steps inside the room or so, and then they just stopped. I didn't hear any more noises or movement for about a whole minute. Very carefully, I opened my eyes just a crack. I was careful to make it look like they were still closed, but I wanted to see whoever was in there. As soon as my eyes cracked open, I saw somebody standing right in front of the doorway, facing me. I looked at them for a couple of seconds. Then I recognized them.
What?
It was the man who owned the Airbnb.
Wow. Oh my God. I know it was an inside job in cahoots. Oh, otherwise. Wow. I guess I never even really thought about it like that. You dead ass can be chilling in an Airbnb and not even think about that the fact that the owners have the key to the house or to the apartment. And they can come in whenever they want. Oh my God. Did y'all think about that? I never thought about that until this video. If you're in an Airbnb, no matter where you at, the owners of the house or the apartment has the keys. So they can literally come in whenever they want. They can be on some cluck shit too. Cause while you out, they can be in, they can go in, hide somewhere, and do God knows what when you sleep. Or when you not. I ain't think about that shit. Oh my God.
I heard him from his picture. He was just standing there staring at me, with no expression on his face. I was careful to close my eyes without making it look like they had ever been open. I was terrified and also very confused as to what he was doing here. He stayed there for probably 5 more minutes and didn't move.
Wow.
It felt like forever, and I was just waiting for him to do something. Finally, I heard him turn around and then walk away. I laid in bed, listening carefully to wherever the man moved throughout the house. He went straight for the door and then just left. After that, I stayed up for about 2 more hours before I could get back to sleep. Luckily, the guy never returned. The next day, I contacted the owner of the Airbnb and asked him what he was doing in the house during the night. He denied being there completely. I reported him after that and did not return back. That was the last time I used Airbnb.
Yeah, that shit's crazy. I would have never. Oh my god, I ain't never think about that. Now that's something for y'all to. I don't know if y'all ever thought about that, but that's something to think about. Hell no. Yeah, Airbnb kind of iffy. Cause you don't know, like, you in somebody else's house. They don't know that house. The only ones that know that house are the owners themselves. Just saying. That's crazy. Cause you brand new to the house. You don't know the ins and outs. You know, I remember one day, a while ago, me and baby girl, we had a Friendsgiving, and we stayed at we stayed at a Airbnb for like a night, and they had a basement, and the basement door, not only was it locked, but it had like about the size, the lock. Not only was the door itself was locked, but then they had a lock about this big. This is a big ass lock. And they had that on the door. That was locked. That shit was creepy as shit and scary. On that show called You, it was on some You type shit. That was scary as hell. But if any of you all ever had like, you know, any bad experiences with Airbnb, let me know that in the comment section below. But yeah, that shit's crazy. Keep it cool, keep it classy, and I love you. Stay happy, my family.